Good afternoon, everyone. I am Senator Karen Lewis Young. I represent District 3 in the Maryland General Assembly. And if you're wondering where is District 3, you are in it. You are in the heart of it. I have a real honor to introduce someone who really needs no introduction today, but I would first like to acknowledge my district mates, Delegate Ken Kerr, Delegate Chris Fair, and we have staff here today too, Andrew and Jocelyn. Thank you for all of your work and support. So when I said that our special guest, our Governor Wes Moore, needs no introduction, there are many reasons. The major reason is because we see him in Frederick so frequently. There's another reason. He delivers, and he delivers to Frederick. Do you know that in the 4 years of his administration, working with the General Assembly, he has invested approximately $3 billion in Frederick. And since year one, he's increased that investment by 25% because he recognizes that we are the fastest growing county in the state, but in addition to our growth, we have tremendous economic development opportunity. Now, I'm not going to read the governor's bio, but I want to tell you how I know him. I know him as an incredible collaborative partner. There are 3 distinct branches of government at the state, but the amount of collaboration is incredible. And that happens fundamentally in 2 ways. From a legislative perspective, we work closely together to reduce energy costs, to create more affordable housing, and to develop a long-term strategy to grow our economy so that we can offer our constituents good jobs right here at home. As a budget partner, we work closely together to fund our priorities and to fund our values. For example, the governor recommended in his budget that we make historic investments in education. He covered food insecurity when the federal government reneged on their commitment, and is also working with the General Assembly to cover health care costs when once again the federal government steps away. But here in Frederick, we have had some incredible historic investments. $20 million for the Downtown Hotel and Conference Center, which will bring us economic development opportunity in the form of increased tourism, more events, and corporate strategic planning sessions. He has funded the expansion of Route 15, which we've been working on for over a decade, and finally had it funded so that we can all get to work, get to school, get to play a little bit more efficiently. Another historic investment in AstraZeneca, because our governor recognizes the industries of the future and the economic growth potential for Frederick County in particular. So he has delivered for Frederick County in so many ways, and that's why we're here today. You have heard the governor's platform, leave no one behind. And he walks that talk every day. Our seniors who have resided here in one capacity or another for close to 250 years, will now have greater opportunities for care and coordination of services. With a $3 million investment to Montevue, we have another extended opportunity so that our seniors who have invested their lives in our community now have an enjoyable place to care and rest. I want to tell you a little bit about Montevue. I'm not going to go through its history, but I love how it got its name. In Francais, Mountain View means mountain view. Now, there was a day you could actually see the mountains, maybe not so much today. So, it is my pleasure, as I mentioned, to introduce our governor, the man who walks the talk and delivers every day for the state of Maryland, and in particular, Frederick County.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody. Senator, I am so grateful for you, for our friendship, for your leadership. I have to tell you, District 3, you did good. You did real good. And Senator, I'm thankful because I know that none of this happens and none of this support comes to Frederick if it's not for your leadership, your focus, your delegate mates, and I want to say thank you so much for the leadership that you all continue to show. You represent Frederick every day so well in Annapolis, and our state is better because of it. So bless you and thank you, not just for the introduction, but for the amazing leadership that you continue to show. God bless you and thank you. And it's a good day for me because it's always a good day being back in Frederick County. Always. You know, Frederick County continues to be just the shining star of our state. A place that doesn't just make us proud, but continues to show us the way. And County Executive, I just want to say again how much I appreciate always being back with you and always being back in the county. And, you know, the mayor was saying earlier, he was like, you know, you should just actually make the state capital, Frederick, with the amount that you're here. And I was like, it would make my commute a whole lot easier. But we are hoping that 15 is going to make it a whole lot easier and safer as well. Before I begin, I do want to, I do think it's important to acknowledge what today also is and what today represents. And I just want to say that we're also thinking about all of our friends over in Westernport, that today does represent a year ago when they suffered historic floods. A year ago when they just showed what heroism looks like, and the truth is that there are children who are still here because of how quickly they were able to move. A town and an area, when they saw that creek rise and the water continue to flow, where the water was coming so hard in, it almost looked like it was coming sideways. And you saw an absolute resiliency that I will never forget and I will always admire. That we're so lucky that we have a federal delegation that we have, and Congresswoman Delaney, I just want to thank you for the many sleepless nights that I know you had fighting for our friends over in Westernport. We are never going to forget that. And saw how we made personal pleas to the federal administration to be able to help Westernport get back on their feet, and literally received a note saying support for Maryland is not warranted. That I then literally personally appealed to the president himself and reminded the president that, just want to remind you, Mr. President, the area that you just denied, that they voted for you by 77%. And once again received a letter saying that support for Maryland was not warranted. But I'm really grateful that in partnership with the Maryland General Assembly, even people who did not represent Westernport said, while the federal government says you're on your own, In Maryland, we say we leave no one behind. And I'm thankful because in partnership with the Maryland General Assembly, that our administration stepped up and provided $12 million this year to support flood recovery efforts in Western Maryland. That includes $1 million that is going to go to the Westernport Library to rebuild it. That is going to make sure that we can actually focus on a dredging of the creek to make sure that that never happens again. You all showed what it means to be neighbors. You all will show what it means to be Marylanders. And so as we're standing on this year anniversary, you all continue to show that in a time like now, what part of the state we belong to doesn't matter. Party affiliation does not matter. If you're a Marylander, that's all we need to know. And you're good. And we're going to make sure that our people are okay. And we're grateful because this is now a chance to spend our whole day out here. Where this morning, I was joined by Senator Lewis Young and the county executive and Mayor O'Connor and also MC Keegan-Air. Had a wonderful visit. It's always good to be with you too. And we were over at Monocacy Elementary School and had a chance to take a math lesson with some fourth graders. It was fantastic because I explained to fourth graders, I grew up where math was always my favorite subject. And one of the things I love about math is that there's no nuance to it. It's right or wrong. Math doesn't, numbers don't have an opinion. They're numbers. There's no partisan bend to mathematics. It's math, right? But sitting with these, some people, well, it depends who we talk to, actually. But also had a chance to see excellence in action where I was asking the students who some of their favorite athletes were and who the best athletes in the world, and they said, Ronaldo and LeBron James. And I said, well, what if I told you that you had the equivalent of Ronaldo and LeBron James and Aaron Judge inside of your classroom as your teacher? Because you have someone who, in Alana Seward-Perrier, who was the 2026 Maryland Teacher of the Year here in Frederick County. And I had a chance to see her in action, and Lord have mercy, she is outstanding. Our kids are in great hands. And our kids are in great hands because it's not just her, it's the entire system that we are seeing here. And what it means to actually build with a focus on making sure that we have one exclusive goal, that our kids are going to be okay. That Principal Routson and Superintendent Dyson and every single person we had a chance to spend this morning with, they continue to make us proud in all the work that's happening. And we are grateful that this year our administration has delivered the largest investments in public education in the history of the state of Maryland, $10.1 billion to make sure that education is and will always be the foundation of a strong society that we are building. That includes a record $450 million for school construction, and right here in Frederick County, the fastest growing school system in the entire state of Maryland, we are thankful and proud to have delivered over $28 million just in Frederick County alone this year. Thankful for all the work that's happening here inside the county, Madam County Executive. And again, I was proud to stand with you just months ago and Superintendent Dyson when we broke ground on Linganore Creek Elementary, a brand new school for nearly 850 students. And by the way, it was the cutest thing because when we're talking to these students and they're like, I live right over there. Knowing that they now have a school that is not just going to nourish their minds, but they're going to have a school that is right inside their neighborhoods. Because we all are firm believers, if you really want to support a child, make sure that child is growing up in a strong, supportive home. If you really want to help that home, make sure that home exists in a strong, supportive community. If you really want to help that community, make sure it has anchor institutions like great schools that can serve as its anchors. That a school that will open its doors at the end of August is a school that we are all going to be very proud of and excited to see the joy and the genius that's going to come from it. That is about Maryland keeping its promise and making sure we are going to do everything in our power to have the best public schools in America, bar none. And that we're already seeing the results. Because one thing I believe in is not just about raw numbers. Show me results. And the results that we are already seeing in just these past years are showing that the plan is working. That already we have seen how math and reading scores in the state of Maryland have gone up in virtually every single grade over the past 2 years. That third grade reading has jumped 20 spots in national rankings in just 2 years. That teacher vacancies in our state are down more than half that we have seen now in just the past 2 years. Education is the key. And high results is the standard. And we're going to keep delivering for Frederick County students and everyone who calls Frederick County home. And that's why I'm proud to be with you all right here at Montevue, or Mountain View. Because today, we are going to make sure that Team Maryland is delivering for Frederick County seniors. And I want to thank everybody who I know played such a huge role in making this happen. Our county executive who made sure this capital was not just there, but it stayed there. We focused on getting that done. Congresswoman April McLean Delaney, who has shown and continue to show what a true local, state, and federal partnership is supposed to look like. Mayor O'Connor, who continues to make sure in every single day that we are going to get not just the basics right, but we are going to be aspirational in the way that we're thinking about our goals. MC Keegan Air, and I want to say thank you, not just for your leadership on the council, but also what a joy it has been working with you over at MACO. And you have really been a definitional partner inside of that role, and we are grateful for you for that work as well. Thank you. Thank you. Deputy Secretary Glantz from the Department of Housing and Community Development, who I swear, I literally see you everywhere. And so bless you for all the work that you are doing all across the state and making us better. And also, and I say, needless to say, Madam Secretary, what you have done for not just focusing on the Department of Aging, but making sure that everyone sees themselves inside of that work has been absolutely extraordinary. Secretary Rokes, I just want to say what a joy it is to be your colleague inside of this work today and always. God bless you and thank you. Because a $3 million state investment in this project is important, but let's talk about what that actually means and who it's for. Because what it means is that it's 84 units of affordable, accessible housing built for older Marylanders who have shaped this county and shaped this state and who deserve to have dignity in where they age. It's a new community center and an employee health clinic that we just toured, which I was so excited to get there, and to see that we can actually build a place that people feel a sense of belonging and welcomeness, and by the way, all on county-owned land. It's the kind of project that my executive order and our bipartisan housing legislation designed to unlock. And we're doing this work because the need is real, and the need is urgent. That here in Frederick County, the population over 65 is projected to grow nearly 50% in the next decade. That we're proud of the fact that everyone wants to come to Frederick. We're excited about the fact that people want to stay in Frederick. We're excited about the fact that people say we want to stay here and grow here and build here and live here and retire here and take care of our children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren here. However, that also means we need to invest in Frederick. It means we need to make sure that the resources are getting to where they are needed. where statewide 1 in 4 Marylanders will soon be over the age of 60. And right now, our state has nearly 110,000 low-income senior households, but only 30,000 affordable senior units to serve them. This is a delta that we've got to fix. This is a delta that they deserve that we move with urgency on. And that's exactly what we're doing today. At this session, with our General Assembly partners, we passed 2 pieces of landmark housing legislation, the Maryland Transit and Housing Opportunity Act and the Maryland Housing Certainty Act. Because housing continues to be too expensive for too many Marylanders, we've opened up more than 300 acres of state-owned land near major rail stations. Land that's going to help us to build at least 7,000 new homes. And this becomes important because when I asked the team, I said, listen, who is the largest landowner in the state of Maryland? The answer is the state of Maryland. So let's put that land to use. Let's build more affordable housing. Let's make sure that we do not have underutilized and undervalued land. Let's actually clean up a balance sheet while also serving a societal need at the same time. Because building more supply means we can bring down costs. Building more supply means you give more people a chance to become homeowners. Having more homeowners means you have a chance to have more people have access to wealth and to pass something off to their children besides debt. And we did this simultaneously while also last year passing the Longevity Ready Maryland Act, the first law of its kind in the nation, Madam Secretary. Thank you so much and congratulations. And what it does, it permanently embeds long-term planning for our aging population into the work of our state government. It modernizes the Commission on Aging. It requires every single state agency to coordinate around the needs of older adults in housing, in healthcare, in transportation, in every way of life, because as we discussed before, the way people are living is not segmented. So therefore, the way we address their needs cannot be segmented. We've got to address it collaboratively. And that's what your leadership in this legislation continues to push on. So while we are seeing how some in Washington want to threaten to pull the rug out from our seniors, Maryland is not just pushing back on that. We're going to push forward, and we're going to show the country what right looks like. Montevue shows the country what right looks like. And what's happening here is not just a one-off. It's a continuation of the great work that's happening right now in Frederick, where last year, JLG Industries chose to build its new 113,000 square foot research and development facility at Riverside Research Park. They are bringing 100 new good-paying jobs with them. That late last year, we saw AstraZeneca announce the largest private capital investment in Maryland in over a decade. That $2 billion expansion will nearly double their commercial manufacturing facility right here in Frederick. That is 200 highly skilled jobs and 900 construction jobs right here in Frederick. That, as the senator was talking about in February, and just down the road over in Carroll Creek, we were there to break ground on the new Marriott downtown Frederick, a new hotel and conference center that is anchored by a $23 million investment from the state, and that is set to bring 200 new jobs, spur more than $100 million in follow-on development in Frederick County. And its hotel's demolition, I announced my economic competitiveness executive order. It focused on our lighthouse industries, places where we can compete and win, like information technology and life sciences and aerospace and defense. And just yesterday, signed our bipartisan Decade Act into law that doubles down on our lighthouse industries, because I want businesses here. I want them in Frederick. I want them to expand here. I want them to grow here. I want businesses that are not here to relocate here. I want people to know the Frederick story is going to be one of the most exciting stories in the country that will take place over this next decade. And we want people to know that, yes, we leave no one behind in that process. And that's why today in Frederick County, we'll be revealing a brand new Frederick Veggie Van funded by $60,000 through our Enough initiative. This is going to increase Frederick's ability to deliver fresh produce, dry goods, and nutrition directly into our high-need communities. Because a thriving society is one that everyone roots for. A thriving society is one that does not pick and choose who is seen and who is not. A thriving society is when everyone understands that we need everyone involved. A great elementary school, a new senior community, a thriving downtown, a growing manufacturing sector, a life sciences industry that's the envy of the world. That's what delivering for Frederick looks like. That's why Frederick continues to lead the way. That's leaving no one behind. And I'm thrilled to bring someone up who has been doing that, not just with this community and for this community, but doing it in a way that makes us proud, and doing it in a space where we need more voices like hers. I'm proud to introduce my friend, Congresswoman April McClain Delaney.
So good afternoon. For those of you who don't know me, I am April McClain Delaney, and I represent the 6th Congressional District, which includes Up County, Montgomery County, and Frederick, but all of Washington, Allegheny, and Garrett. And I was thinking it was a year ago, the 13th of May, that those historic floods did go through. And on the 15th of May, I joined our governor in knee-deep mud in Westernport. And everyone said, "You showed up, Governor." And he shows up everywhere as we were trudging through that mud and we were trying to get FEMA aid. But I have to say, over the past year, and I have to give it up because I was with him in Washington County at a Hitachi Rail and at a school, at an enrichment center in Washington County. And he does deliver for Maryland, but he was talking about the enough funds, and I said, we just can't get enough of Governor Wes Moore, which I think is because he shows up everywhere, including here, and he does leave no one behind. And people do across the state have each other's backs, but particularly here in Frederick, which I feel very, very blessed to represent. So I just want to say a few things briefly. Thank you to everyone for being here at this Montevue Health Senior Campus, and to Marathon Health for that incredible tour that I just saw. And really what it is, a gift to Frederick County government employees. We don't have enough health options and affordable and accessible health options, particularly for our seniors across this country. And as we had Medicaid cuts that now are going to be, I think into $1 trillion almost. And I think of the impact as it cascades down into our states. I sat with our governor of Montgomery County as he announced the subsidy to really help and bridge that inaccessible ACA tax credit that expired. And I think what it really showcases is the heart that he has for Maryland, but how Maryland does have an ethos of making sure that we have accessible health care, which is very important. And so I just want to thank you, Governor, for your leadership and investment of $3 million to help build these 84 additional housing units, but they're housing with care that we need. And there's a long known adage as the true measure of any society can be found in how it treats its most vulnerable neighbors. And, the Frederick way is neighbors coming together to care for one another. And from our youngest students at Monocacy Elementary that we just saw, and we just visited, to the seniors who will be proud to call this place home. We know the past year and a half has been difficult for many families, especially our seniors and our caregivers and our providers. And this tsunami of cuts, including what I just said, both Medicare and SNAP. And SNAP is also health care because food is health. You cannot be healthy without eating, has placed enormous and unfair strain on our Maryland families and on our Maryland budget, which is already grappling with an affordability crisis and the crushing cost of living. And that's why this investment matters. And it's why it also showcases how important it is that our local, our state, and our federal divisions really kind of come together to collaborate and coordinate. And I see so many dear friends here in the room that are doing that. So I'm just proud to stand alongside our governor and so many of the leaders here who are committed to leaving no one behind, because building more affordable senior housing is essential to meeting the needs of Frederick County's growing aging population, but the aging population across the state. As he said, more than 1 in 5 Frederick County's residents is over the age of 60, and we have a shortage of 100,000 homes statewide. The only other thing I'd like to say is on a federal level, expanding housing opportunities is really central to housing costs and strengthening our communities. It's been a driving part of me introducing a cost down opportunity up legislative agenda in progress. And it really works a lot with our local and state, including zoning, permitting, looking at innovative ways of housing and land use, but also in lowering costs on technologies, including NIST, which is located not far from here, who is really driving a lot of innovation in how we produce housing, but also how we are able to more effectively meet the need. Today's visit also follows last month's check presentation of $1 million in federal funding with the Taney Avenue Senior Center, a funding that my team and I, along with the senators, successfully secured through congressional community project funding. So, in closing, I just want to say projects like this represent major and meaningful investments in our seniors, our families, and the future of this community. And I am so proud to be able to represent this community, but mostly to have the friendship of so many in the room that are here, so many in this community, and particularly our governor, our secretary, thank you so much, and so many even I was at a rural health care roundtable in Allegheny yesterday at UPMC, Western Maryland. And they said, you know what? We want to kind of be like Frederick. And I said, it's there, it went Frederick, and then it's going to Hagerstown, and then on. But I said, Frederick really does have a model, and they really are very innovative. So you should be very proud of yourself. So many thanks, and I turn it over to our county executive.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, Governor Moore, for being here today and for your steadfast support for local governments and, of course, for Frederick County. I told him we know it's his favorite county. I can say that. He can't say it, but, we know. I do also want to recognize we have some of our county council members here today, and none of this would be possible without the partnership with the county council. So Councilmember Keegan Ayer, Councilmember Renee Knapp, and Councilmember Jerry Donald, thank you all so much for joining us today. It really has already been a wonderful day to be here in Frederick County, celebrating so many investments in our community, celebrating award-winning educators like Alana Soward-Poirier, who gave an excellent math lesson to the governor we heard, and really just highlighting the great work we're doing in our county, including here at the Montevue campus with the help of state funding. The Montevue property has long been a place of refuge for our most vulnerable residents. In the 1770s, this property served as an almshouse, a charitable home for widows and seniors. And in 1828, Elias and Catherine Bruner sold the land to Frederick County for the benefit of the poor and for no other use, intent, or purpose. So for the past 195 years, that is exactly how the county has used this land to take care of our most vulnerable seniors. This property even served as a convalescent camp for soldiers from the Union Army following the Civil War. In the 1870s, Frederick County government opened a hospital right here, serving all residents regardless of race, religion, or ability to pay. In fact, until 1919, this was the only hospital that would provide care for our community's Black residents. Through the years and through the many changes that we've seen in our community, Montevue has been reimagined to meet the changing needs, always with the mission of taking care of our seniors and honoring the history of the land that we're standing on right now. Today, we're in another moment of transition here at Montevue. While Aurora Health Management continues to operate the Citizens Care and Rehabilitation Center for those who require skilled nursing, Frederick County will be building affordable senior apartments right here on the property. You've heard a little bit about it already, but we're so excited about how this takes so many of the needs of our community, the goals and obligations of county government, and the state's goals to meet housing targets and meet those most vulnerable residents all in one project. This project will be a multi-level senior living facility with over 80 units, community meeting and social spaces, and other accommodations for independent living and that sense of community that is vital to the well-being of our seniors. The co-location of these senior apartments on the Montevue campus will allow for full integration of our service coordination model for residents. I'm so excited that, Governor Moore, you got to meet our service coordination team today. This team is phenomenal, focusing on serving seniors by engaging them proactively, developing individual service plans, asking them what matters most to you to be able to stay and age in place and stay in our Frederick community, and providing care management to help seniors age with dignity. But we know that aging in place is more difficult now than ever before, with rising costs and lack of affordable housing options. The governor talked a lot about the housing challenges that the state is facing, but also what we are doing about it. We know that over 40% of our seniors in Frederick County live on fixed incomes that are lower than what is required to pay for essentials such as housing, food, and medication, according to the United Way's Alice report. So it truly will take an all-hands-on-deck approach to move the needle on housing affordability. But the good news is our state partners know that, they recognize that, and that's why we are here today. This is why I brought the idea of using county-owned land to build affordable senior apartments to the governor's team, and they jumped at the opportunity to support it. The governor included $3 million in capital funding for the Montevue Senior Living Facility in the FY27 budget, and we fought to make sure that we kept it there, and thank you to our delegation for making sure that that money stayed as well. By leveraging county-owned land and state resources, we will be able to partner with an affordable housing developer to not only build affordable units, but to ensure those wraparound services and to reach the deep affordability levels that we need to make sure that these rents truly are reachable for our most vulnerable seniors. I want to again thank the governor and your cabinet, Budget Secretary Jake Weissman, Secretary of Aging Carmel Rokes, and the Housing and Community Development team led by Secretary Jake Day and Deputy Secretary Julia Glantz for seeing our vision and investing in it directly. I also want to thank again our Frederick County delegation for their support of this budget in the 2026 legislative session. We have a lot of our Frederick County government team who is here today. So to our Division of Aging and Independence, our Division of Housing, our Division of Human Resources, all of our county partners, thank you, not only for what you have done to keep this project moving along, but your dedication day in and day out to serve our Frederick County residents. Our county government employees truly model every day what public service looks like, and we are so grateful to be partners with you. Thank you. Building on all of these incredible partnerships, continuing to bring people together, that really is the Frederick County way. And I'm committed to ensuring that access to affordable housing for our seniors and continuing to find creative solutions to the affordable housing crisis facing Maryland and the county at large continue to be a prime focus for us here in Frederick County. No single project will solve our affordability challenges, but with every investment we make, we are making progress and delivering results to Frederick County residents and Marylanders. Thank you to each of you who has played a part in this and will play a part in so many of the projects still to come. And now it is truly my pleasure to introduce one of my partners in this work. We are a tag team on many, many different advocacy moments with our state leaders, but also in really telling Frederick County's story and the city of Frederick's story. So welcome up Mayor Michael O'Connor.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I am really fortunate every day that I get to do this work alongside great leaders, and I can't imagine a better partner in the work that I do every day than the county executive who just spoke. We have been lockstep on so many important initiatives, and I'm grateful for the county's partnership on the housing needs assessment that was completed and the work that our own housing task force has been doing with the data collected from that study. And we hope to be able to announce the results of that task force's work here within the next couple of weeks as they're wrapping up what I asked for was a 60-day deadline to produce some recommendations that we could act on. And we are hoping in the city to follow in the county's footsteps in identifying city-owned property that we too can look to for future affordable housing opportunities to meet the very desperate need that we see in this community. I admire the governor for a great many things. On a breezy day, I mostly admire his hairstyle. I want to thank Governor Moore and our Lieutenant Governor Miller and your administration for being fantastic partners in the work that we do every day in the city of Frederick. It is so gratifying over the time that I've been in office to see administration that looks at what it can do on behalf of local governments and steps up every day to make sure that we are getting it done. At the local level, we see very clearly what people are carrying right now. The need for good schools for their children, questions about whether they will be able to age with dignity and stability, and the pressure to create and access jobs and opportunities that lead to a better life for their families. As a mayor, I know how easy it can be for government to fall into a mindset that communities have to settle for one priority at a time. That we can focus on schools now and housing later, or economic development now and infrastructure later. But communities do not experience these challenges one issue at a time. And the best partnerships recognize that we have to move together on multiple fronts if we're going to meet the challenge and the opportunity that sits in front of us. And what I appreciate about Governor Wes Moore and Lieutenant Governor Runa Miller is that your priorities reflect that understanding, that we do not have to choose between investing in people and investing in opportunity. That when government is smart and strategic and willing to partner, that we can invest in students and support seniors and grow our economy all at the same time. And here in Frederick, it's not just a philosophy, it's not just an aspiration, it is our reality every day. You can see the investments in school construction. You've heard about some of those today. You can see what's happening with the Montevue senior apartments. You can see coming out of the ground in downtown Frederick now that hotel and conference center, a project that will create jobs and attract investment and help ensure Frederick remains economically competitive for the next generation. In government, people hear a lot about plans and priorities. We're very good at that. What matters more, however, is turning those plans into something real, something tangible that impacts people's daily lives. This administration has delivered. At a moment when the federal government, the federal administration on the executive side anyway, has disappeared, the Moore Miller administration has poured in. They've poured into communities, they've poured into partnerships, they've poured into the belief that state and local governments can do big things together. We are so grateful for the leadership of our state delegation, Senator Lewis Young, our delegates, Delegate Kerr, Delegate Fair, Delegate Simpson. Thank you for being wonderful partners in the work that we do every day. The county and federal representation in Frederick County that matters and does show up for our community. Governor, thank you for believing in Frederick. Thank you for continuing to show up for communities like ours, for communities like Westernport. Thank you for delivering for Maryland families. We are proud to stand with you today. It is my honor now to introduce the Secretary of the Department of Aging for the state of Maryland, Secretary Carmel Rokes.
So good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I am really thrilled to be here with you today, in particular because today we celebrate Older Marylanders Month. And so this is a great time to be at a gathering where we are talking so much about the blessings and the benefits of longer lives. And Governor Moore, thank you. That's a very simple thing to say, but I hope you understand that, as you know, coming out of retirement to be Secretary of Aging, to be able to do this work alongside you and the administration is truly a wonderful, wonderful thing. So I thank you for that opportunity. So all of us are aging right now. And I sometimes ask who's aging, and if somebody doesn't raise their hand, I'm like, we have a problem. We might need to call 911. So you younger folks will be tomorrow's older folks, because aging is not something that happens to other people. It is for all of us, and we do it together. It occurs across our full life course. And part of what we've been talking about today is just that it is the full life course that we must think about when we're thinking about longer lives. It isn't just the last 20 or 30 years at the end. We know that the investments that we make in our children, in our working age adults, and in older people will mean that all of us have healthier, better, longer lives. And that's the goal. And in Maryland, we believe the benefits and the blessings of a longer life belong to all of us, not just some of us. And we are working tirelessly, as you've heard today, again and again, to make that a reality. We know the older population is the fastest growing demographic in our state, and we don't have to be afraid of that. That is something that actually means that our future is going to be better, not burdened. But we know that it takes an all-of-government approach, which we have right here in this room, or this tent today, and we know that it takes a multi-sector approach. It is not just government. It takes business, it takes philanthropy, it takes academia, it takes research to make sure that collectively we can, in fact, be part of the longevity revolution. So that's why we passed the Longevity Ready Maryland Act, and that act actually is embodied in the work today, because at a cornerstone of that act is living longer and being able to afford living longer. And we know that means creating housing, like we're talking about today, that is both affordable and accessible for older Marylanders. This housing development is exactly that. And I want to commend County Executive Fitzwater and the entire Frederick team for your vision and your commitment to the dream. Your belief that we can, in fact, have longer lives that are healthier, better, affordable, and that we can make Maryland our forever home. And this is that kind of a project. It is a testament to what happens when you leave no one behind. And we want to make sure that that continues well into the future. And I know that the Longevity Ready Maryland Act is going to be ensuring that we can all grow older with dignity, security, and a sense of belonging. So congratulations to Frederick, and happy Older Marylanders Month. And now I'm going to have my partner in crime, Deputy Secretary Julia Glantz from the Department of Housing and Community Development, to come up and speak.
So good afternoon. It's so exciting to be here to celebrate more housing here in Frederick. Governor, thank you for your leadership. You have made housing a priority, and I don't think it's hyperbole to say that you have done more to advance sensible housing policies and practices than any governor in recent history. It's also not hyperbole to say, as the governor has said, as the comptroller has said, as Secretary Day, industry experts, and as Maryland voters have said, the lack of housing is hurting the wallets and budgets of Marylanders, and the lack of housing is hampering Maryland's economic growth and potential. It's driving residents, young workers, and seniors from our state. The most effective and important solution is to build more housing. And that includes building more senior housing to respond to the needs of the fast-growing population. Governor Moore has spoken to the big picture, the actions taken under his leadership to evolve policy, to reform zoning and permitting, to prioritize housing development on government-owned land and near transit, all to increase supply and affordability. It's no secret, as was said, that we need more housing here in Maryland. We estimate our state is short approximately 100,000 units. It's a number we at the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development work to reduce every day, because everyone deserves a safe, stable, and affordable home, no matter your income bracket or your age. While the majority of the 55-plus Maryland population are homeowners, the 24% that are renters face elevated levels of housing cost burden. 55% of all older adult renters are cost burdened, compared to 12% of their homeowner counterparts. And just a 10% increase in housing supply correlates to nearly a $500 in annual savings for renters. That's huge. But the impact of building more housing reaches far beyond wallets and pocketbooks. It unlocks doors and restores dignity. Maryland seniors deserve housing options that allow them to remain in and contribute to communities where they built their lives and families. That's exactly what communities like Montevue will provide. Safe, stable, and affordable homes with a great view for our older Frederick residents who love this city and love living in this city. That takes all levels of government, working in partnership to make projects like this a success. And the state of Maryland is so proud to be your partner. Today's celebration is a testament to the commitment of Frederick County, the city of Frederick, and their vision for expanding affordable housing and affordable senior housing. If Maryland is serious about lowering costs for housing and making the state affordable, we must create more housing at all income levels, including affordable housing that allows our seniors to stay in Maryland and age in place. Today's celebration demonstrates the right way to do it, through strong partnership, respect, and compassion for our residents. Thank you, and that concludes today's presentation.